There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, might as well try it.
Yep. We got to get one in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. You're not growing simply because you're not willing to make a trade-off. Jess, we just spent the last 2 days-ish with John Maxwell, and he dove into us with that topic of trade-off. And I'm going to start off this way, Jess. This was so good. He said, the dream is free. The journey isn't, because the journey requires trade-off. Dream journey, willing to give up what I have now to get what I want tomorrow. So, Jess, we're going to talk all about trade-offs today, because here's what we know. I mean, we see it in the community. We see it in our challenges. We see it in our conversations on any social media platform, that people just have challenges and limiting beliefs and fears around trade-offs.
They do. And it's such a simple phrase or word, trade-off, and yet it's one of the biggest asks that
Yeah.
we see people struggle with, especially in this like entrepreneurial space, or
Mhm.
transition from an employee mindset to an owner mindset.
Right. Totally. Totally, totally, totally. And I'm looking at my notes right now. So if you see my head going down for those watching on YouTube, I think he gave us eight trade-off points. And I want to run through them today to really give our listeners and our viewers some context here around what John was talking about with trade-offs.
Okay, let's do it. So what's the first one?
Yeah, trade-off stands between where you are and where you need to go. Love that. He says that's foundational. The foundational piece is you have to understand what a trade-off really is. It is taking where you are right now, and you get to define if that is your potential or your level of success you want to achieve, and then know that to go to your next level, there has to be a trade-off. And he was talking about when he was pastoring a church, I believe he said in San Diego, and he was probably one of the largest, he had one of the largest congregations maybe in San Diego or in California or somewhere. And that's when he had his calling to go into leadership.
Mm.
And he shares the story that God shared with him that you're going to go into leadership. He told his wife, and his wife was like, "What does that even mean?" And he's like, "I don't know, but God will tell me." And sure enough, he had to make a trade-off, at least define the trade-off of I'm being called over here, and we're gonna identify callings here in a second. But I'm being called over here, and so I had to make a trade-off to go to that next
Yeah. Well,
opportunity.
trade-off is saying no to something, understanding that you're moving towards something else, something greater.
That's right.
And I think why we react to this so, heavily or viscerally is the fact that when you are finding success or you're moving towards a goal, you don't want to say no to something
Mm-mm.
because you're like, hey, this is working, this is moving me there. And it is hard to bet on the potential of something greater sometimes.
Yeah.
And so we find people stagnate because they feel so comfortable with where they are that they're not willing to say no to that thing to make that trade-off.
Right. And so when I was started listening to him, I was thinking the word sacrifice versus trade-off, but that's not the
Mm.
right terminology, because it's not sacrifice, because he gave this definition of trade-off. Trade-off is you don't leave something, you go to something. And I
Oh,
thought that was
yeah.
so stinking great in language, because that helped me think about the word sacrifice as nope, that's not a sacrifice. A trade-off is you're going to something, you're not leaving something. So in his example
Mhm.
of being called into leadership, into almost the ministry of leadership, he was going to that, and look at where he is now. I mean, 70, what is he, 76, 70 something?
79 and 94
79,
published books with, I think he said
94
another
published books.
14
Yeah.
that he wants to write.
Yes, he did say that. Yeah. And when he left us, he was going to a few more cities, and he was in his hometown of West Palm Beach. And then he was going to 6 countries, Jess. 6 more
Hmm.
countries this year. So, okay, let's go into number 2, though. Number 2 says trade off, you never leave, it never leaves us the same. Let me say it again. Trade off never leaves you the same. Take a trade off, and then things change.
Hmm. Yeah. So once you commit to a trade-off, things are different for you. It means that you have to expect change and be okay with change and embrace the change, knowing that there is something on the other side of this.
That's right. That's so good. And man, it is, even as we're sharing this, I'm just thinking about all the trade-offs I've had in my life, going from playing tennis to then teaching tennis to then tennis business to then real estate business as a sales agent, then into leading offices. I mean, many, many, many trade-offs along the way, and it's scary.
It's a huge thing. Well, and I
Hmm.
think about it, the when one door closes, another window opens kind of,
Sure.
phrasing here. And that's a big part of this is, yeah, you're going to go in a different direction. You're going to, have a different point of egress even. And so many people, like I was saying earlier, are comfortable where they are that they don't know clearly and definitively what's on the other side. And so,
Right.
so often they'll miss the mark and they'll skip the opportunity of the trade-off because of fear or comfort
Hmm.
and or an unwillingness to change, right? And that's what he was really saying is you have to be okay with that change because you also need to know that there's going to be something on the other side of it. You're not
Hmm.
stepping into oblivion when you
Right.
step through that door or crawl through that window.
Hmm.
You're just stepping into something different, which usually grants you the opportunity for more clarity, more opportunity, more money, more impact, more whatever,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so one of the things that he mentioned during that kind of stuck out to me was he was saying that um if you miss the moment, that's where you start to decline. So if you refuse to step through that door, if you refuse to accept that change, you might actually go backwards instead of
Yeah.
forwards.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important here to have that understanding that change is inevitable, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And how you respond to change is what's going to make or break you in that trade-off.
When I think of the word change, though, sometimes I feel change is out of your control, right? Sometimes we have to make a
Mm.
change and we can't control it, right? I was talking to a guy in my Bible study this past week, and he said his job is what did he say? His job is basically they're shutting down that department of the company that he works for.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to make a change, a forced change. So he's not getting an opportunity to have a trade-off there because he's being forced to make a change, though he can have a trade-off if he looks at it as, okay, that door's shutting and I'm
Hmm.
going to go open another door here and thank you for whoever decided to shut down my department because now I get to go step into something else. But see, the challenge, and I want to make sure that everyone hears this, right now, that example, he's not going to something, right? He's not doing
Right.
a trade-off. He's being forced to make a change. A trade-off is when you know where you're going.
Oh, that's a good distinction, I think, for this
Hmm.
conversation for sure. And I mean,
And it may not be crystal clear, but you
right.
you 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 feel that you're being called to something different.
Yeah, there's a natural push, pull, drive,
Yep.
direction when a trade-off is happening versus your language, I think, of forced change, which is
Right.
good. So I think there's choice change and forced change,
Good. Yeah.
and the choice change is the trade-off that we're
Right.
talking about. The forced
Right.
change is something that is beyond your control, but you can choose when that force to be reckoned with is happening, how
Hmm.
you respond to it and turn it into a choice if you want to.
Yep. Very true. Number three, he said trade-offs are not easy or comfortable, though they are natural,
Mm,
right? They are natural. And again, so stinking good because if we think about our own trade-offs, I remember moving from California to the South, not comfortable at all, right? It was just
hmm
like I remember seeing moss on the trees here in the South for the first time, and I thought, coming from LA, I thought maybe it's part of a movie scene or something. I was like, why don't they clean that stuff up? And they're like, no, you idiot, that's Spanish moss. And I was like, oh, okay. But again, being silly there, it was an uncomfortable move from him coming from the left coast to the right coast. And now it's completely home. Though in the moment when we're making a trade-off, it's not going to be comfortable, right? Though trade-offs are
No.
natural.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to make that change, like I was saying earlier, when you have something that works, something that's
Hmm.
known, something that is comfortable. We don't honestly typically actively choose discomfort as humans.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be a clear,
Unless you're David Goggins.
you know what? Not everybody knows, Mr. Goggins, but yes, you're exactly right. Typically speaking, human nature chooses comfort over
Mhm.
discomfort.
Right.
And so I think that's why trade-offs are difficult because they're not easy sometimes and they're not comfortable. Uh, and we are sitting around almost waiting for boredom to happen in our comfort, for that plateau to be
Mhm.
the trigger to make us change,
Mhm.
right? And so often we need to make that trade-off in a time when we haven't plateaued, when things are moving fast, or
Right.
things are difficult, and or they're going really, really well and you're like, I'm coasting now, and so it's one of those things where I think people just have to be okay with the concept of slowing down to speed up
Mm.
or going backwards to go forwards, and trade-offs are typically that decision that's that kind of dip in the
Yep.
road.
Yep. For sure. Let's go to number 4. And I thought this was fascinating. So I want to read this one slowly here. The higher you climb, okay, so I'm going to establish that as the more success and the more significance you have, the higher you climb, the tougher the trade-offs. And here's what I love what he said here. I don't do hard for easy. Do hard for harder. Easier doesn't work. And I really liked what he said there. And the way that I visually saw that was almost like a you got the opportunities in trade-off space and in life, and we talk about it from a real estate standpoint with businesses that you can choose to get on the adult roller coaster, which is going really high, then really low, really high
Mhm.
peak, and then really low valley, or you can choose to get on the kiddie roller coaster, which is smaller peak, smaller valley, smaller peak, smaller valley, yet it's still going up and to the right. And I like this. The harder you climb, oh, I'm sorry, the higher you climb, the tougher it is for trade-offs, though you do hard to be able to go do harder. Let's unpack
See,
that.
and I heard that ironically in more of like a fitness muscle building mentality.
Mm,
I lift heavy so I can continue to lift heavier.
mm,
I do hard, I run faster, I run longer, lift more, whatever, so I can continue to do more in the
yeah.
future. I don't lift hard just to make picking up a case of, protein shakes easy, right?
Right.
That's not
Sure.
the end goal of lifting is to
Hmm.
make something easy. It's to strengthen you, to develop you, to make it so that you can do more or bear more when life throws something at you.
Hmm. Ooh, he said, do hard, just like you said, do hard to do well and get harder. You are gaining moral authority in your life.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
just good. Most people never go higher because they don't want to do it again. Right. And
Yeah.
so when he said that, and I went back and thought about his leaving San Diego to go into his calling of leadership, he was at a high moment and he
Hmm.
and he had to go do it again, which means that he didn't know where he was going to grow or go in the leadership space, but he was feeling called to something. So he had to come a little bit into a valley, and then he knew that he could continue to grow higher as he traded off.
Well, another thing he said that stuck out was respect is earned on difficult ground.
Mm,
And so I think a key piece of this is you have to do hard to earn respect of those around you.
mm-hmm,
Doing things the easy way does not earn respect. And
mm-mm,
honestly, if you think about every keynote speaker you've ever heard or every inspirational author or podcaster, their success and significance is grounded in difficulty.
Yes.
They did something hard to get them to where they are now,
Mhm.
and nobody got there through the easy road.
Right.
And so, difficulties are the thing that, the no pressure, no diamonds kind of situation. They're the thing that creates the opportunity, that creates the success and significance, that creates the perspective or the opportunity to share with others, right?
Right.
And so I think when things are hard, it's important to keep that perspective in mind that this is shaping me. This is, the hammer and the anvil shaping the
Mhm.
iron, whatever analogy you want to use there. But it's like, yes, this is hard, and I know that there's something on the other side of this hard.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's value in the difficulty.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back to your workout analogy there. And if you start in a space that you feel out of shape or you feel not healthy, and then you step into the workout routine, you step into, I mean, heck, we've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast. You step into a nutrition space. It's not easy. It's not
Yep.
easy. If you have the gene that you like to eat cookies like I do, it's not easy, right? Actually, I had to text Alan this morning and say, okay, fine, $1,000 on the line for every off menu thing that I eat, right?
You are
Okay, yeah,
hilarious.
I had to do that. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
the other piece of that he said was trade-offs require courage, and
Mm,
nothing kills courage faster than comfort.
yes.
So I
Yeah,
I
hold on.
just
Say that again because that is such good language. So good.
trade-offs require courage,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing kills courage faster than comfort.
Mm. Mm. So good. So, so good. Let's go on to number 5.
Okay.
I didn't get it all. Did you? I didn't get it all written down. Did you get number 5 written down?
I had the higher you climb, the harder it becomes, but
Okay.
the
Yeah.
greater the return on your trade-offs. That
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
all I have is the
okay.
higher you climb, and I don't have the
Oh, yeah, well,
rest.
that's what I had. So the higher you
Perfect.
climb, the harder it becomes,
Okay.
but the greater the return on each trade-off.
There you go. Love that. So, okay, let me write that down. The higher you climb, the greater the return.
The harder it becomes, but the greater the return.
Okay.
So higher, harder, greater return.
Yep. Love it. Go ahead. Talk about that one.
Well, it's again that kind of situation that aligns with the other one where we were talking about fitness as an example.
Mm.
The higher you climb, the more difficult it becomes, right? And but you're doing the hard thing knowing that the payoff is going to be that much greater.
Yeah.
So in a lifting space, it's lifting more, and it's in a workspace, it's doing more or achieving more or creating more or giving more,
Mm.
and so you might be working harder, but the return, sorry, the return is exponential in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. I want to bring this back to some coaches in our community. So I look at Dan. We've got a coach inside the community. His name is Dan, and Dan has a great path of trade-offs. And I was talking to him, ironically, on the way back from Florida because we were in his neck of the woods, and I was trying to get together with him for breakfast. And he may be on his maybe third, fourth, or even fifth iteration of his trade-off. The higher you climb, the harder it becomes, the greater the return, though. And we were chatting, and his 26 vision from where he was to where he's going to in the trade-offs of going from one-on-one coaching to group coaching to high-ticket one-on-one coaching now will be all garnered towards group for 3 hours with a six-figure MRR.
Hmm.
Right? So again, let's talk about the higher you climb. So here he's been growing this entire time, the harder it can become simply because now he is condensing his time. So therefore
Hmm.
he has to have greater value and payoffs for his clients and
Hmm.
yet the greater return. So here he is working 3 hours a week on screen time, if you will, and has a six-figure MRR return.
Yeah, six figures a month. That's
a
what
month.
MRR means
That's
for
right.
those that
Monthly
you don't.
recurring revenue. That's right. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, and I mean, that's a far cry from where he was several years ago when he
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'll be happy with, I forget what the number was, 20K a month
Right.
or something like that. So that's a 5 times plus yield per
Hmm.
month in
Hmm.
several years because he is focused on strategic trade-offs.
That's right. 100%. 100%. That's such a great example. Let's go to 6 because we're going to 8.
Okay.
Trade-off create environment for growth. So trade-offs
Hmm.
create environments for growth. Make trade-offs. Um, let's see here. You learn faster how to jump the fence is what I wrote down. Sometimes
Well,
this is
I
when
wrote
you talk about the
down,
pioneer. Uh-huh.
I wrote, if you don't jump the fence, you don't know what's on the other side.
Ooh, that's good too. That's good.
I love the fact that we were in the same room and have different notes.
Well, you were typing and I was writing, and I scribble, and you have probably much better clarity than I do on your notes. That's
Yeah, I
good.
mean, you can see it if you're watching YouTube, the glare of my notes in my glasses
And you
sometimes.
can see if you're
I've
looking
got
on
my
YouTube how scribbly this looks.
Yes. Well, I learned that I can type faster than I can handwrite, and I
Yep,
don't
smart.
want to miss things. And somebody like Mr. Maxwell talks so fast and
So
drops so
fast.
many gold nuggets that as much as I appreciate the fact that they gave us beautiful journals, I
Hmm.
didn't trust the fact that I would get everything. And so I was
Yep.
like, I got to type this out on my tablet, and I still missed things. And
Yep.
I even had the privilege of looking over Mark Cole, his number two's shoulder, and looking at Mark Cole's pre-written notes so I could listen to John type from Mark and still miss things.
That's good. So go
Okay,
back.
so
They create
trade-offs,
environment for
yeah.
growth. Yeah.
And if you don't jump the fence, you don't know what's on the other side.
So good.
I
So
love
good.
that.
Um, I mean, let's talk about that
Yeah.
because even in some of your language in this podcast, it is so comfortable on one side of the fence.
Hmm.
Right? We do a good job. We as entrepreneurs, we as coaches, we as human beings, we can do a good job of establishing comfort. There's nothing wrong with staying in comfort, though you will get bored.
Well, you'll stagnate or you'll decline, as John put it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so, if you can you can desire to have impact, you can desire greatness, but that desire has to come with some level of action or intention, which
Yep.
includes trade-offs.
Right.
Because if you are not making trade-offs towards whatever that desire is, then you are going to sit there and stare over the fence and assume that everything is greener on the other side, but not want to make
Mm-hmm.
the effort.
This is also where he talked about being a pioneer,
Yeah.
right? Being a pioneer. And I think about this from the I Love Coaching community space is when I launched this back in 2019, I wasn't familiar with community spaces, right? So I went down the traditional route. Why? Because I knew that that was something that I knew to do, and I had built those types of things in the past. And it wasn't until you and I started having in-depth, deep work type conversations of the trade-off from going from a traditional model to a community approach, right? To a
Yeah.
membership-based approach, which in my mind, I was like, wow, how does this work? Because at the end of the day, it's, well, you're getting an annualized, you're getting an annualized revenue versus a monthly revenue, if that's the way you structure it. And that trade-off was really interesting mentally, though I'm going to stay with this number 6 right here. Trade-offs create environments for growth. Look at what we have grown into and established as the environment inside not only the community, but in the team-oriented aspect of I Love Coaching behind the scenes. The growth that we've had is just exponential. It's huge.
Hmm.
If we
Hmm.
could have stayed in the
Well,
traditional way, but we
yeah.
chose to go this way, and then we have grown. I mean, you were sitting with John Maxwell. Come on. You were sitting with John Maxwell. You were sitting with Mark Cole. And 2 years ago, if I would have said, Jess Webber, you're going to be sitting at a table with John Maxwell, you'd be like, yeah, right. But I knew you would say, I know I will be. and look at the growth.
No, and that's what's so interesting is, you were mentioning this stuff about pioneers, and I was sitting there thinking about the difference between you and I and why we
Hmm.
balance each other so well. Because you have, as he put it, this incredible spirit that you want to keep going and you want to go fast and you want to go hard because you have a vision of impact to change and serve 100 million lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are a doer first and then learn through it the experience of doing.
100%.
I am, as we've jokingly said on previous podcast episodes, a hoarder of knowledge. And my whole thing is I want to collect as much as I can to then make the best strategic decision before I act.
Mm-hmm.
And so we marry very well the two behaviors to create something that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's funny. One of the lines John said was, "In the beginning you're crazy, but in the end you're amazing."
That's
You
right.
can't get to amazing without being crazy first.
True.
So if you're going where someone's gone, no one's gone, sorry, if you're going where no one's gone, you're going to be misunderstood.
Yep.
And I think that is the beauty in working with you is because I would still be probably 2 years later, 3 years later, collecting knowledge, tools, resources, understanding, perspective to try to
Mm-hmm.
build what I consider the best thing that everybody wants and needs.
Yep.
And, like I would still be perfecting blueprint version 1 or 2. And here now, because I've partnered with you, I'm writing version 8.
Yeah. And it's so cool. I want to share some of this language that I wrote down, and feel free to if you got something different. But along the same lines of your language, he said you can either know before you go or go before you know. And,
Yep.
and then you figure out and you start moving. He also said what we didn't know was greater than what we knew. I
Hmm.
love that, right? So that would be go before you know. And then we started with what we knew so we could start to learn what we didn't know. Right? So
Ah,
so yeah,
yeah.
so that language is here's my box of what I know. That's where I want to go and grow to. So now everything outside of this box I don't know. And in the same breath, what we didn't know is greater than what we did know. And I just absolutely love that because, again, what are we talking about? We're talking about trade offs create environment for growth.
Hmm.
And you know me, very visual. If I can see what I do know in a little box and everything outside of that is what I don't know, that's where we're growing to.
Yeah. Well, another line that he had in that conversation was action breeds confidence and clarity.
Mm,
And that's why I was setting that up for the whole difference between you and I, because you help pull me along and push me towards action, right? And
mm-hmm.
that does give me the confidence and clarity. So you joke, 2 years ago, I might have said, "Oh, yeah, I'll be at a table with John Maxwell." I didn't think like that because I hadn't done the actions with you. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I have confidence. I'm happy to sit there and have conversations with Mark Cole and not sit there and be overwhelmed by the idea that this human is running Maxwell Leadership, this incredible
No,
multi-million
I've
dollar
got a better
company.
story for you than that. I'm having a conversation with Rory Vaden, and we're talking about taking shots in our butt. And you walk in and you say, "Are you talking about your butt, Rory?" You didn't even know Rory, but yeah, you jumped into that conversation, and it was amazing. I'm so glad that you did that because now you have the confidence, right? And
Yeah.
and and you engage in the conversation, and you even told him, because it's how comfortable you've gotten, that him moving to the platform that he's moving to was a bad idea. I mean,
Yep. Yep. I
that
have strong
that
opinions.
that's when I went into the that emoji of or not the emoji but the gif of Homer Simpson going back into the
Oh my
shrubs, and I was like,
God.
oh, I'm backing up out of this one.
You know what? It's so funny because I didn't even think about it in that perspective. It was I have spent more time than probably anybody on his team doing research on that thing. And I collected the knowledge and
Yeah,
the resources around it.
yeah,
And because I believe in his vision and his value, I want him to make the best strategic decision. So
yeah.
that's where my brain was going with this is you are the force to be reckoned with that pulls us forward towards the vision.
Mhm,
I'm the
mhm.
one that comes behind with the foundation. So
Yep,
I support the
true.
vision in so many ways. So I do my natural behavior of collecting knowledge, tools, and resources, but I do it in a way that's supporting the vision and there's still momentum through you and working
Yep.
with you. And I think that's why it works so well is because you lead and I continue to support in that direction in such a beautiful way
Mhm.
that yeah, no, I didn't think about hey saying, "Hey Rory, you're an idiot." It was more just, "Hey, I have opinions that I think would help because I believe in your vision and your value." You know, and I'm not afraid to tell you that because I want you to make the best strategic play so that
Right.
you're not spending time, energy, or effort fixing something 6 or 12 months down the line. You
Yep.
know?
So
And
good.
and it's but again, all of that confidence and that clarity came through action that you have helped inspire in me. So I believe that if you're somebody who is feeling stuck, afraid of trade-offs, you need to find somebody that can be that pioneer with you or for you.
That's right.
And I mean, it's funny we're talking about this because I was texting with one of our coaches in our community who has a decision and a trade-off she wants to make. She knows she wants to make it. She's committed to that, but there's a lot of anxiety and fear around the discomfort of making it. And she's letting the discomfort cause her to pause and stagnate.
Mm.
And she's like, I gotta sit with this thought. I gotta figure out how I want to do this. And I texted her, I was like, here's how you do it, 2 seconds. And then I was like, and if you don't like that, here's another solution and here's a third solution. But all three of these are good. You need to pick one and do it.
Mm.
You know? And
Good.
she goes, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And now I don't have to sit and mull this over. And
Yeah.
so something that you've done for me, Adam, I now can turn around and do for somebody else
Good.
because that action has bred confidence and clarity and created growth in me that I can now go give and help somebody else grow.
Love it. Love
And
it.
so
Love it.
I love this whole conversation and the fact that we have opportunities through payoffs, right,
Mm.
to grow.
Hmm. Yep, love that. Good one. Let's go to seven real quick, and then I want to really spend maybe 10 minutes or so on number eight because I believe that's the most important one. And number
Okay.
seven, um, what did you have? Because I have confidence to cross the bridge of uncertainty.
Nope, that's not the
No.
right word.
Okay, what did you
He
get?
had trade-offs require confidence to cross the bridge of security.
Oh, security. Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
Security, not uncertainty. So he
Got it.
said the hardest part is letting go of the things that you love but are potentially out of date.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we typically, what he said is we'll come up to this bridge of security and we don't want to cross it because we know what works. It's worked for us in the past. And yet that antiquated thing, behavior, habit, strategy, system, whatever, is actually the thing that's holding you back. And
Hmm.
so ironically with this, it goes to my immediate head thought goes to Adam's behavior of one-on-one direct messaging versus a
Yeah.
one-to-many approach of lead generation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you continue constantly to do what you know works because you have a proven track record with it. And
Right.
yet it's something you don't want to give up because you don't have the security of what's on the other side of the bridge.
That's right. It's very, very true. And walk us through because he kept using the word darlings. I've got to kill my darlings.
Oh, I didn't write down anything about
Oh,
that.
okay. He said, if first, let's see, all your darlings will be killed if you want to grow. So I didn't really put a definition of what the darlings were. Constantly kill your darlings. I'm assuming darlings are comfort. I'm assuming darlings are your consistent thought
It's
processes and
anything that you're
patterns.
holding on to. So it's
That's
like
right.
it's my darling system, it's my darling,
Hmm.
strategy, it's my darling playbook, it's my darling
Right.
tech piece, it's my
Yep.
darling workbook, whatever it is. So he was saying you had to let go of those. I just took the word darling out because my brain wasn't attaching to that when I was typing in
Gotcha.
my notes.
Gotcha.
But he's like the hardest part of letting go of your darlings
Hmm.
is that they are potentially out of date and you don't want to give them up, you know.
Well, and to me, that goes to really going internal and auditing your unconscious competent spaces, right? What are
Hmm.
you doing every single day that you aren't even thinking about doing that now is no longer aligned with you growing?
Yeah.
right? What is that? And we don't know, but you got to go in and you got to audit that. So you can see, as John calls them, darlings, what darlings you need to stop doing so that
Hmm.
you can go through this space of building the bridge to something different.
Well, and that makes me think of Pareto's principle, 80-20. Let go of the 80%, but the 80% is comfortable, right? It's known, it's consistent, it's something that has made you feel like it's worked,
Right.
right? But you need to let it go because that 80% is not going to get you to your next level.
Let me read this here. I think this is in a line. So similar. The modern flex is completely unreachable. Right. So the same, different. Not unreachable like quote unquote important, unreachable like free. The old flex was instant replies, always available, phone always on. The new flex is protected time, selective availability, present where you are. The people who matter will understand. The people who don't aren't your people. And so, gosh, that was good. Someone posted that in our community thread yesterday, and that really lives with this language right here. I mean, those are those old flexes are the darlings that John's talking about.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Well, yeah, it's like I was saying, and it's not a dig on you. It's just naturally you know how to lead
Yeah.
generate one to one. And
Mm-hmm.
you've done it time and time again with massive success in every business you've done it in. And yet, that behavior or that system, right, is not the thing that's going to take you to the next level. So you have to be okay with being uncomfortable and know that the
Mm-hmm.
next trade-off you make is giving up the one-to-one for a one-to-many in this particular
That's right.
instance. So you're
That's right.
killing your darling one-on-one lead generation strategies in favor of one-to-many.
That's right. Okay, let's go to number 8. Because we've got just a short period of time here.
Okay.
Never make trade-offs on your callings.
Hmm.
Go into this. Never make trade-offs on your callings. Make trade-offs in your callings. So
Yep.
let's go first because you have to understand what your callings are. Right? You
Yeah.
really have to understand what they are. And if you don't know, you can't do this one. His are evangelism and leadership.
Sure.
And so, in the same breath, you've got to know what your callings are so that you're not trading off away from your callings.
Hmm.
We see this all the time with incoming coaches or individuals who had a past life and then a current life, and their current life isn't as passion oriented. It's more of a survivor job than maybe what they did in the past, right?
Hmm.
We can go to an example with a coach in the community who was in the gym space and he went into more of the management space, and he's trying to build a coaching business around the management space, but he's not called to that space. He's not called
Hmm.
to that agent space. He's called to his fitness space. And he had to have this breakthrough to say, "Oh, ding ding ding, my calling was over here. It's not over here." And yet I made a trade-off away from my calling, not in
Hmm.
my calling, and he's miserable. He's miserable. He's
Right. Well, I
yeah.
mean, I even think about it personally. My calling has to do with teaching, connecting people
Hmm.
with the knowledge, tools, and resources they need to live their most impactful life. Like
Yep.
that came to me one day randomly, and it's stuck with me ever since as like that is the driving force. And if you look back historically at everything I've done, whether it's education, real education franchises, real estate franchises, coaching companies, I always gravitate back towards educating people and connecting them with the knowledge, tools, and resources they need
Mhm.
to do what they need to do, right?
Right.
And that to me is my calling. And so I can make trade-offs as long as I'm not trading that away,
Right.
right?
Right. Yep.
I can make trade-offs on who I align with, what industry I'm in, as long as I'm committed to that calling.
That's right.
But if I go and try to make a trade-off, like I just got an email the other day inviting me to something special with somebody,
Hmm.
whatever, I was invited to an exclusive group of 10, but I looked at it and I was like, that is not in alignment with this. So
Hmm.
I would be trading off time in my calling, energy in my
Hmm.
calling to go do that. And while
Hmm.
that sounds like a big, exciting thing, it's pulling me away from the calling.
Yeah,
And so
for sure.
if it's not an alignment, then you cannot make a trade-off
Right.
for it, in it, around it.
Right. So I want to go a few more things here real quick because when we said John was going to 6 more countries this year alone, it's because he's in his calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in his calling. He's not working. He's not doing something transactional here because he either needs the money or he wants to expand his following. No, he's doing this because it's his calling. And I love what he said here. I tried to write this down verbatim. And he said if someone tries to make him to do a trade-off outside of his calling, this is what he says. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And not one of you will stop me from reaching my God given potential. I love my calling more than I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow. I mean, to have that conviction, to have that not head down, but just that freedom to simply say,
Mm-hmm.
I am clear in the lane that I am going to not only grow myself, I'm going to grow the people around me, and nothing's going to stop me from that space. I kind of go back to look at the example we gave of Dan. Dan in the coaching space is in his calling. He
Yeah,
has made
100%.
trade-offs in that calling to continue to grow himself, grow his people, grow his business, though he stayed in his calling. And that is number 8. And that's why no one can make the trade-off for you. You've got to make the trade-off and you've got to do it yourself because no one's going to do it for you. When you are in your calling, there's got to be trade-offs and you're going to have to be the one that makes it. And that's just where I want to land this plane is I hope that resonated with people.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up. And
Mhm.
and if you're somebody that is struggling with your calling, then maybe it's the universe's way of telling you that what you're currently doing is not the space you need to be in.
That's right.
So
That's
we'll
right.
challenge you to sit with that and
Mhm.
really reflect and look at that. And, if you need help, reach out.
That's right. Yep. Tell them how they can get in touch with us, Jess, and then let's go.
You can connect with us at ilovecoachingco.com. Join our newsletter, shoot us an email, or even join our challenge, which we'll have one coming up in the new year, which is super
That is right.
exciting. So,
Actually, we have a coach camp coming up, so stay tuned. We'll share more of the details with that.
yeah.
It's actually going to be more of a blueprint relaunch and a coach camp. You guys are going to really love this. So just stay tuned for that. I don't have a lot of the details, but I'm just going to put that out there.
No, that's because you make things up on the fly and then we discuss them later, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
fine. It's all
Okay,
good.
guys. See you
Y'all,
later. Have a good day. See you.
this is
Bye.
this is Adam's action, and I'll follow up.
Have a good day. See
Bye.
you.
Have a
Bye.
good one.